Let me start by thanking OECD for giving Nigeria this opportunity, and we are very excited to be here. Since this is our first coming, we are going to give some information about our country, Nigeria. Then we look at the role of Nigeria Export-Import Bank, and then we come to the concluding remarks. Nigeria is Nigeria is the second largest economy in Africa, after South Africa, with a nominal GDP of $268.71 billion United States dollars as of 2012. The economic growth rate is one among the highest in the world. We are averaging about 6.9% for the past 5 years, and is projected at between 6 to 7%, up to 2015. We are predominantly an agrarian economy with agriculture contributing over 40% of the GDP. Oil and gas is contributing about 50%, despite the fact that Nigeria is an oil-producing nation, and while wholesale and retail trade contributes about 20%. The economic growth has generally been driven by the non-oil sector, with agriculture, solid minerals, and manufacturing sectors recording growth rates of 4%, 12.7%, and 7.6% respectively. Let me say that Nigeria stands at the point of a demographic advantage that has the potential to clearly emerge as the economic powerhouse of Africa, with a population of 170 million people. That is just a graphic representation of the contribution to our GDP, with agriculture coming first, wholesale and retail trade, and then food, petroleum, and natural gas. Let me also give some macroeconomic variables that have taken place in Nigeria for the past 2 years. We now have a single-digit inflation, 8%, as at the end of September 2019, which is the lowest in 5 years. We have a stable exchange rate of one currency, which they call Naira. It has been operating within the band of 155 to 157 to the United States dollar over the past 2 years. We have a robust exchange external reserves, which have risen to about 45.22 billion as at the end of October 2013, from 32.34 as at 2010. We have a vibrant and fast-growing financial sector with total banking assets of 158 billion US dollars as of 2012, which has increased very dramatically from the 113 that was recorded in 2009. We have the highest return on investment, almost one among the major economies, averaging about 35%. And the foreign direct investment inflow in Africa, we are having the largest share, as at, for the past 2 years, we have about 16 billion US dollars, according to AMCA. Nigeria has an investment grade rating of BB minus, by Fitch, with a stable, outlook. Now let's look at the Nigerian export sector. Because Nigeria is an oil-producing nation, our export revenues are largely made up of what we have from crude oil and natural gas. The non-oil export is composed mainly of raw commodities We also have semi-commodities, but the finished products are not commanding a very high percentage. But most of what we do, most of our export in non-oil is going to Europe. Europe controls about 50% of the non-oil export of Nigeria. The United States of America is the major oil market for Nigeria. But then that oil export to the US has dropped from 30% in 2011 to about 18% in 2012. The country is undergoing a transformation under President Jonathan, and this is a quotation from our transformation. That under the transformation agenda of the federal government, Nigeria seeks to promote rapid economic growth through the diversification of the economy and increase value-added non-oil export, particularly in the agro-allied and the solid mineral sector, where Nigeria has a significant comparative advantage. Here we only look at a trend analysis of the export for the past 5 years, and you can see that non-oil export has never risen up to 4%. Our export revenues are largely driven by what we have from oil and gas. You can see that up to this point, we are still exporting a lot of our raw agricultural commodities. The semi-manufactured is not much, but of course, it's about 32%. The manufactured is just about 10%. The minerals, and let me mention that Nigeria has huge deposits in solid minerals. We have about 34 solid minerals in commercial quantities, which have not been tapped at all. So you can see that that sector has a lot of potentials that will require time to unlock. This one is just to show that the main market for non-oil export is Europe, and America is the main market for oil. Now let's look at the export credit system in Nigeria. The export credit system in Nigeria can be broadly defined as the institutional arrangements available to provide finance for all the activities along the export value chain, from production to exports. Now, where are the sources of this export credit? We'll talk about the Deposit Money Bank. That is a commercial bank. Nigeria has 20 commercial banks, like I mentioned before, with a total asset base of $158 billion as at the end of 2012. But most of the activities of commercial banks are limited to short-term trade finance, because the kind of money that we have in Nigeria is short-term. Commercial banks are limited to short-term trade finance, because the kind of money that we have in Nigeria is short-term. What is the other source? We are talking about the capital market, where funds can be raised to equities, bonds, and debentures. And we have to mention that Nigeria has one of the fastest growing capital market among the emerging markets. The market capitalization has been improving from 58 in January this year to about $75 billion as at the end of September. And some of the export companies, especially in the non-oil sector, are quoted on the Nigerian Stock Exchange. We also have situations where government will guarantee specific sector funds, that we want to raise in order to develop a particular sector, like the textile funds, which was raised to the capital market and was guaranteed by the government of Nigeria. Now we have development finance institutions. where Nigerian Export-Import Bank is one of them. We have about 6 of them in Nigeria. And we look at DFIs as instruments of market failure. They are created to intervene in sectors considered too risky by the commercial banks. Because the DFIs promote development, while the commercial banks are driven by profitability. Where you have huge potentials in a particular sector, but the risks are high, the commercial banks will not be able to intervene. So the DFIs will go in and de-risk that particular sector to make it attractive for the commercial banks to come in. And the strength of the DFIs is in offering them long-term funds and attractive funds that are meant for development from bilateral and multilateral agencies, as well as ACS. Now, you have the other export credit agencies, which NECLIM is one of it. We have a lot of operating banks here, where they offer buyer, supplier credits, and some long-term development funds. You have the equities and the angel funds. Different export finance instruments could be used depending on the aspect of the value chain being financed, as well as the nature and the tenor of credit. In Nigeria, what we are trying to do now is trying to see how we can create an enabling environment for factoring and professional to take place. We have huge SMEs, small and medium enterprises, that are not on investment grade, and they are finding it difficult to access funding from conventional commercial banks. So we are working on that, and we expect that within the next 2 years, we should be able to have this product introduced in Nigeria. Now, what is the role of NECLIM Bank? NECLIM Bank was set up in 1991 by an Act of Parliament as an export credit agency and a trade policy bank of Nigeria. The main essence of setting up NECLIM was to see how we can diversify the export base of Nigeria. Like I mentioned, 96% of our export revenues come from crude oil. Meanwhile, we have huge potentials in non-sectors that nobody is looking at because we are getting easy money, from crude oil. So NECLIM was set up to diversify the export base through granting of trading facilities both in local and foreign currencies to Nigerians that are involved in non-oil export, to provide risk-bearing facilities, guarantees and credit insurance, business development and advisory services, as well as trade and market information. The bank also complements in attracting foreign investment capital towards the development and the growth of targeted industries and very strategic sectors of the economy, where we have very concessional lines of credit, we have very buyer and supplier credit, so that we can look at applying new and clean technologies to make us competitive in the international market. The bank is owned by the federal government, and it has an authorized and core share capital of 50 million, it's about $321 million US, and the shares are held on behalf of the federal government by the Central Bank of Nigeria and the Ministry of Finance Incorporated. As of today, we have a paid-up share capital of $251 million US, but efforts are on by the shareholders to enhance the capital base. The bank has a 9-member board, and the board is responsible for the overall direction and operation of the bank, and it ensures that the bank operates in line with its mandate and objective. We have a 9-member board. At any point in time, the chairman of the bank must be the deputy governor of Central Bank to ensure that good corporate governance and the bank operates in in line with the global best practice. 3 of the board members are inside, that is the managing director and 2 executive directors. We have 2 directors from Central Bank, including the chairman. We have a director from Federal Ministry of Finance. We have a director from Trade and Investment. And then we have 2 members that represent private export interests. By the Act of Parliament setting up the Exim Bank, we are authorized to raise funds in foreign currency from multilateral and international financial organizations, as well as other Exim banks. And we can also borrow from the external reserves of the country. We operate the bank in a very, very financially sound and self-sustaining manner, and we comply with all the regulatory provisions and the prudential guidelines of the Central Bank of Nigeria. We are owned by the government, but we try to strike a very fine balance between working as a development finance institution so that we can promote development, at the same time making sure that a return is made on shareholders' equity. And for the past 3 years, consistently, we have been making profit and paying dividends to our shareholders. In 2010, we commenced a very major transformation of the bank, and we look at all the departments of the corporate strategy. We look at the organization, the structure and design, the risk management framework, how we can optimize our business processes. We make the place performance driven. We have to brand the bank, to give it more visibility. And then look at the HR realignment, so in an area where we can increase the skills of the staff and motivate them properly so they can bring the best hands. And what has been the outcome of this is that we have a 5-year business plan. We look at the issues of governance and risk management architecture. It was there, but we needed to reinforce it. We look at the brand strategy and the brand engagement strategy. And we have clearly defined rules and responsibilities both for the board committees as well as the management. And we have organization-wide KPIs and scorecards, for everybody. And we have to redesign our processes, our policies and our procedures. Now, within that, we came up with a vision that we want to be the leading African Export Development Bank, but we are targeting 5 objectives. We want to have a clear market focus and become a major contributor to non-oil export. Number 2, we want to build a world-class institution which imbibes best-in-class corporate governance and risk management practices. Number 3, we want to be a very relevant player in the export market and significantly influence government trade policies. Number 4, we want to build a profitable institution with a robust balance sheet. And number 5, build a highly skilled and motivated workforce. So what has been the mission of the bank? We say we want to become a first-class institution providing a diversified export base through the provision of finance, risk-bearing facilities, and advisory services in line with the government trade policy. And then our core values, looking at customer first, one team, professionalism, commitment, and integrity. Now, what we have here is just to summarize what we, how we want to move. We know that as a development finance institution, we don't have that huge amount of money to be able to finance, export. We are complementing. But what we do is that there are some sectors, like I mentioned, solid minerals, that has huge potentials. But because the risks here are so much, the commercial banks are not attracted to those kind of sectors. What we do as a development finance is to move to those kind of sectors, try to de-risk it, make it attractive to the commercial banks who have the funds to fund the export to come in. Now, we'll be able to define the non-oil areas that we are intervening. For now, we have selected only 4 areas that we believe have very high potentials that can generate jobs for Nigerians and attract foreign trade. So if you look at our market and look at the areas of the sectors that we are targeting, we're targeting manufacturing, we're targeting agriculture, especially agro processing, because we need to add value to our exports. We're looking at the solid minerals because of the huge potentials, and then we're looking at the services. One of the services, we're looking at transportation, we're looking at tourism and entertainment. Then in terms of the market focus, huge opportunities exist within the economic community of West African states, which is the ECOWAS. And then we'll have to look at West Africa, look at Asia, and then the world economies. That's the way